The wind screamed across the old bridge as if warning the world that something terrible was seconds away from happening. Cars rushed by without noticing anything unusual, unaware that a young woman stood on the edge, gripping the cold railing with trembling fingers. Her clothes were wet from the mist of the river below, her hair clinging to her tear-streaked face, and her shoulders shaking with a hopelessness so deep it felt like the world had already given up on her. She leaned forward, staring at the violent water crashing against the rocks, believing this was her only escape. But just as her foot slipped and her final breath caught in her throat, a strong hand seized her arm with a force powerful enough to rip her back to life. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small actions to save lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps us spread hope to millions. The hand that pulled her back belonged to a man who seemed impossibly calm in such chaos. He didn't let go even as she collapsed to her knees, gasping, shaking, and gripping his sleeve as if afraid the world would swallow her whole if she loosened her hold. She didn't know it yet, but the stranger who stopped her wasn't just anyone. He was a man whose name appeared in magazines, business headlines, and financial articles, a CEO billionaire known for his brilliance, his empire, and his cold, unreachable aura. But here, on this bridge, none of that mattered. He knelt beside her like a human being who cared, a human being who saw her, not the broken mess people had made her believe she was. The woman's name was Alina. Once, her life had been filled with dreams that sparkled like morning dew on fresh grass, dreams of becoming an artist, dreams of traveling, dreams of building a peaceful life with her family. But dreams are fragile things, and the world has a cruel way of crushing the ones who love too deeply and trust too easily. She had lost her job 3 months ago, her mother had fallen ill, the medical bills piling like stones on her back, and the landlord had threatened eviction after she fell behind on rent. Every knock on the door felt like doom. Every phone call from hospitals felt like a countdown. Every day she woke up feeling like she was drowning, and every night she fell asleep wondering how long she could keep pretending she wasn't falling apart. Her closest friends stopped answering her messages. Her relatives said they were busy. The world, it seemed, had stepped over her and moved on. By the time she reached the bridge that cold evening, Alina was exhausted, not just physically, but in the soul. She felt invisible, unwanted, and painfully alone. And when she stood on the railing, she believed no one would notice she was gone. But she was wrong, because someone had noticed, someone who had been walking the same bridge to escape his own storm. The man who saved her was Daniel Vero, the billionaire CEO of Vero Innovations, a company known across continents. People pictured him surrounded by luxury, power, success, and untouchable confidence. But what they didn't know, what no camera had ever captured, was the loneliness he carried like a silent shadow. He had built an empire, yes, but in doing so, he had lost his father, his marriage, and the warmth of companionship. He had wealth, but he had no peace. He had fame, but he had no one to return home to. That night, he wasn't the billionaire the world admired. He was just a man who needed air, needed silence, needed distance from boardrooms and signatures and empty penthouses. When he pulled Alina from the edge, something shifted inside him, like two broken pieces of different puzzles had accidentally found a way to fit together. Daniel stayed by her side as she tried to breathe through her panic. He kept a steady hand on her back, grounding her, telling her without words that she wasn't alone anymore. As the evening deepened and the bridge lights flickered on, he guided her to a nearby bench, sheltering her from the cold wind with his jacket. He didn't ask for explanations right away. He didn't pressure her to talk. Instead, he offered something much rarer, quiet presence, the kind that makes broken people feel safe enough to put their pieces down for a moment. Alina eventually found herself speaking, not because he demanded it, but because for the first time in months, she felt someone was truly listening. She described her mother's illness, the bills, the eviction threats, the nights without sleep, the overwhelming suffocation of being trapped with no way out. Every word came out like a confession she had been afraid to voice. Daniel let her speak until the river's roar became a soft background hum. Hearing her story awakened something buried deep in him, a memory of his own mother struggling in a cramped apartment, working 3 jobs to raise him after his father walked out. He had vowed to give her the world one day, and when he finally did, it was too late. She passed away before he could make things right. He knew the pain of helplessness, the guilt of failing the person you love most, the torment of thinking you're carrying everything alone. So Daniel made a choice that would change both their lives. He didn't give her money up front. He didn't overwhelm her with empty promises. Instead, he gave her what she truly needed: stability, respect, a chance. He offered her a temporary position at his company, a place to rebuild her confidence and financial life. He arranged medical care for her mother through trusted doctors, but did so quietly, without taking credit. He ensured she had a safe apartment to move into, telling her it was part of the company's relocation support. He didn't want her to feel like a charity case, he wanted her to feel human again. Alina worked hard, proving herself not with desperation but with determination. Her talent, kindness, and quiet strength began to shine in ways she had forgotten were possible. She became someone the team respected. She became someone Daniel admired. And slowly, something even deeper grew between them, not romance at first, but a bond built from wounds, understanding, and the rare connection that forms when two souls meet at their lowest and rise together. Daniel noticed how she smiled at coworkers even when she was stressed. He noticed how she stayed late to help others finish tasks. He noticed how she carried her pain with grace, never complaining, never asking for more than she was given. And Alina noticed how he softened around her. She noticed the tiredness in his eyes, the weight he hid behind his calm exterior, the way he seemed more human when they spoke than when he was surrounded by executives. Months passed, and both their lives transformed in ways neither had expected. Her mother recovered slowly with proper treatment. Alina saved enough to feel secure again. She started painting during weekends, rediscovering the passion she had buried under survival. Daniel, on the other hand, began spending less time in soulless meetings and more in the world outside, volunteering, walking, reconnecting with the versions of himself he had lost. What began on the bridge as a moment of despair became the beginning of healing for both of them. Near the end of her probation period, Daniel invited Alina to visit the place where he first learned about resilience, an old lake cabin his mother used to take him to. They sat by the water, the evening rays stretching across the lake in warm golden ripples. Alina didn't know this was the first time he had brought anyone there in years. And Daniel didn't know that Alina had been carrying a letter in her bag, a letter she had written the night before she tried to end her life, explaining her pain. She kept it as a reminder of how close she came to disappearing. They talked for hours, not about business or responsibilities, but about life, regret, healing, and the quiet miracles of unexpected connections. For the first time in a long time, Alina felt her heart grow lighter. And Daniel felt something he had nearly forgotten: hope. As the sun set, painting the sky in colors too beautiful to describe, Daniel looked at her with a softness that only truth carries. He realized that the moment he grabbed her hand on that bridge, he wasn't just saving her life, he was saving his own too, even if he hadn't known it. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your engagement helps us bring more emotional, life-changing stories to the world. And before this story ends, here is a special request. Please comment below: kindness can save lives, to remind the world how powerful compassion truly is.